The topic of my video is Shanghai and Beijing's modernization and preservation of culture. I chose this topic because I think this concept is what I admired most about the country. As soon as I landed in Shanghai, I took note of how modern the city actually is. Being the first time I went to mainland China, I expected it to be modern just because of China's vast development in all aspects of life, but I truly underestimated Shanghai's level of modernization. I hadn't taken into account that Shanghai was a major and rising port city with influences from all around the world. Since we stayed in the French concession area, the European influence was heavily evident in the architecture and fashion. The mall we stayed near, IAPM, was the most luxurious mall I have ever been in. The mall featured countless brand names and top-tier interior designs. Many people sported designer clothing and handbags in this area, showcasing how wealthy the city and its people can be. Shanghai Disney was definitely one of my favorite parts of China. Disney, of course originating in America, has found its way halfway around the world to China. The resort opened up in 2016 with a massive budget level and is 3 times larger than the other Disney resort in Asia, the Hong Kong Disney World. The Bund is a waterfront area in the middle of Shanghai. Along the river, you can see many modern skyscrapers. The city showcases featuring many different types of architecture such as Romanesque Revival, Gothic Revival, and Neoclassical. This is an example of how many different influences came and made an impact on China. Now I will talk about the historical and more cultural parts of Shanghai. The Jade Buddha Temple was founded in 1882 with 2 Jade Buddha statues imported from Burma. This temple draws from the traditions of Pure Land and Chan Buddhism, like many other modern Buddhist temples do. Next is the Yu Gardens. It's located in the old city of Shanghai. The gardens were built in 1559 and have developed over time and now feature many shops and restaurants built in the area, but amidst the modernization, the Yu Gardens still keeps an old traditional architectural design in the square. Zhujiajiao is an ancient water town in Shanghai. This town really showcases many historical and traditional Chinese customs and values such as rice shops and spice stores that used to be more predominant in historical China. I found it really amazing how such a small town is preserved and has kept its values despite all modernization that happens around in the rest of China. Now, I will move on to discuss some of the modern aspects of Beijing. Tiananmen Square contains a monument to the people's heroes, the Great Hall of People, the National Museum of China, and Mao's Mausoleum. The Great Hall of People and National Museum feature beautiful non-traditional interior architecture that can contrast the preserved historical Tiananmen Gate. The square holds a lot of historical and political importance for China, and it showcases modern China and historical China all in the same area. Next, I'll talk about the historical Beijing. It is my favorite part of the entire trip. As a lover of history, I enjoyed visiting these locations the most. Because Beijing is the capital, I feel like it holds much more historical sites than Shanghai did. First, we visited the Temple of Heaven, which is a complex containing many religious buildings. It was used for the emperors of the Ming and Qing dynasty for annual ceremonies of prayer for to heaven for good harvests. The temple was constructed in the early half of the 1400s and has been preserved greatly and kept as an icon temple. Other than the religious buildings, the temple also has courtyards that you can see many people doing Tai Chi and other activities as well. The Lama Temple is a temple and monastery of Tibetan Buddhism. The building and artwork is a combination of Han Chinese and Tibetan styles and one of my favorite temples I've visited. The mixture of art styles and architecture and the 18-meter tall statue of Buddha were all great cultural examples of Buddhism in China. The Summer Palace is a collection of lakes, gardens, and palaces in Beijing that expands over 2.9 square kilometers. It's featured on UNESCO's World Heritage List and is a prime example of Chinese landscape garden design amidst many traditional pavilions and palaces. The palace also holds a lot of historical value as well. The Forbidden City is another declared UNESCO World Heritage Site, as it is the former imperial palace from the Ming Dynasty to the last dynasty, the Qing Dynasty. It was the home of the emperors and the political center of China for almost 500 years. The Forbidden City is a great example of traditional palatial architecture that has influenced the whole of Asia. It is the largest collection of preserved ancient wooden structures in the world. Chinese traditional medicine is a practice that is based on herbal medicine, acupuncture, massage, exercise, and dietary therapy. It is widely used in Greater China and is increasingly becoming popular worldwide, as you can see people in America doing acupuncture and cupping therapy as well. A basic tenet of traditional Chinese medicine is the body's vital energy that circulates through channels that have branches connected to the bodily organs and functions. I really admire how this practice has been going on for more than 2,500 years and still goes strong despite the influence of Western medicine. Chaoyang Theater is one of the tourist highlights of Beijing that features a traditional acrobatics show. The show combines traditional acrobatics with some modern as well that allow the viewers to see the contrast between ancient and modern Chinese culture and the world. The show ranged from a traditional story of a man wearing traditional Chinese clothes from back in history all the way to a daunting modern motorcycle performance. Last but definitely not least is the Great Wall of China. The most famous site in China, the Great Wall, is a fortification built in 220 BC. The wall has been rebuilt and maintained and enhanced over many dynasties. The wall served as defense, border control, transportation of goods, and more. Now it is a great tourist site for all and has been modified to have a cable car running through this and a sled from the wall back to the ground. This is one of the most impressive pieces of architecture in the world and holds a lot of history and culture, as China has been around for the majority of China's existence and has become a major tourist site from China.